I've grown my PC Engine collection a lot, and during my trips to Japan there's a lot of games I bought just because they seemed neat. I've already talked about Guts and Dina, Dragon Egg and Wallaby and many more in this playlist here, but this video is for a bunch of games I don't feel like making individual videos on, so instead I just want to go through them quickly here. Starting with Spin Pair by Media Rings Corporation. This was the first game they seem to have developed themselves, but they also published Sokoban World, known as Boxy Boy in English. We gotta appreciate the adorable cover art. It shows these two witches and animals and fruit being happy and whole, or sad and split up. It's really goofy, but it's trying to convey that you want to make things whole, and that's the point of the game. You rotate falling pieces to make patterns complete, and once that happens they disappear. They will also take any similar pattern with them, as long as they're on the same horizontal line. I really like this mechanic. It makes you think a lot more about the placements of your patterns. The further you get into a stage, the more shapes will appear and it'll speed up and slow down. The objects change depending on the stage you play on. In normal mode, you just choose whatever stage and background song you want and play for high scores. And you can also play against a friend, using two controllers or the separate handheld system. In the story mode, you go from one area to the next, with cute little graphics of this witch character. It's all very adorable. It's forgiving with this continues, and as you'd expect, it gets harder as it goes on. It's a really neat game and the music is great. If you're into puzzle games, this is a pretty unique one, and I think it's definitely worth a shot. Next game is a lot stranger. First we gotta go back to the Famicom with American Dream, made by Coconuts Japan Entertainment. This game featured a little character known as Pachinko-Kun. He became sort of a mascot, and he'd have many adventures on the Game Boy and PC Engine. The one I got is Pachinko-Kun Juban Shoubu, and of course it's a pachinko game where you gotta win big to defeat a corporation that wants to take over a business. It's a very silly concept, and the gameplay is, yeah, I mean, it's as straightforward as you can get. They even made a pachinko controller for it. I kinda just keep losing. The same thing goes for the next title, Jinmu Denshou, developed by Wolf Team. This was their first PC Engine game, as their main focus was home computers at the time. The team that created this game would only be around for a short while, as internal restructures caused most of the staff to leave. The title screen is beautiful and the music is fantastic, and the game itself is meh. It plays similar to Space Harrier. To start out, you can only slash your sword, which is pretty useless. But once you get upgrades from the statues, you can shoot projectiles. Some also regain your health. You can stop yourself and move backwards too, which is useful for getting the statues. There is some light platforming you can do, but it's really tricky to actually pull off. Also, can I just say, this samurai is caked the fuck up. Holy shit, god damn. While the cover looks awesome, the game itself looks a bit rough. It feels kind of sluggish and the movement is jittery. Bosses can take forever to take down and they can be hard to hit. Charting your attack will at least help take them down sooner, but still, I have such a hard time telling the depth in this game, much more so than something like Space Harrier. At least it's very cute that when you pause the game it says coffee break. Getting hit will make you lose power-ups, and jumping over obstacles is a total pain. Look at me trying to get out of this bamboo prism. It's so damn hard. Well, at least the game gives you passwords so you can continue from a certain stage. Let's change things up to something a lot more chill. Splash Lake is a game that, at a glance, you probably wouldn't assume is a CD-based title, but it is. And it really is just for the music, but it's super cute. Made by Bits Laboratory, who are most known for porting Sega games to other systems. This is a simple puzzle game where you try to knock down your opponents by cutting off the platforms they're on. If the platforms are not attached to any of these spawners, they fall. You can jump over the opponents, but it's hard to do it right. I suck at this game though. I could only get to stage 10. You can also play 2-player with a friend. There's a bunch of enemies and it's very simple and arcadey, but it's a good time if you're better at it than me. Next game has even more of a multiplayer focus. Motoroader MC, made by NCS, a very prolific developer for the PC Engine. There were earlier Motoroader games, but MC is focused on multiplayer. You see the entire stage and everyone drives around it. A number appears above you indicating how many rounds you have left to go. You can either use tank controls or my preferred style of just driving in the direction you press. You switch with the select button. It feels really nice. There's also weapons you can use to take down your opponents, and this game can be played with up to 5 players, which is really cool. This is the main racing mode. You have 5 main cups, each with 5 different stages, so there's a lot to do. You can also play Shuffle, where it uses tracks from different cups and just randomizes them. Some tracks also have little shortcuts with tight gaps to clear. They get more complex as they go on, introducing stage hazards, boost pads, and slippery tracks. It gets hectic and chaotic, and it's a really good time. There's also some weird shit like a giant ape or a little penguin you can spin around or drive on top of. It's weird and wacky, and it just makes it all the more fun. I urge you to check out the rest of the stages. There's a cool Devil's Crush reference, for example, that I'm not going to spoil here. There's also a time attack mode where you just race for the best time, but you still have to deal with the CPU racers, which is kind of strange. And there's Omake, which is kind of like this football mode where you choose between 3 maps and try to get the ball in the opponent's goal. Overall, this is a fantastic multiplayer game that holds up super well. The last game I want to talk about is Fushigi no Yume no Alice. It's clearly inspired by Alice in Wonderland, but it uses that more as a base for inspiration, and it sort of does its own thing with a general theme and aesthetic. The basic combat outside of jumping on people consists of charging a shout. There's 3 levels of it, each being larger than the last. But if you hold down the button for too long, she'll stop moving and have to take a breath. You can also upgrade your health and shout as you go on, and use magic spells to your advantage. It's a fairly short and sweet adventure with bosses at the end of each stage. It feels classic and simple, like an early NES game. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it's a really neat little game, and I appreciate it. Admittedly, I'm also really bad at it, so I switched to an emulator just to use save states to get further in. It won't blow your mind, but it's the kind of game you might just have some fun times with. This system has a vast library with so many strange titles that I've never heard of before, so it's just fun to try out a bunch of random stuff. And this is just a small selection of things I've stumbled onto. You still got other wacky games like Yoshimoto no Shinkigeki, which is a comedy platformer based on a show that's still going strong to this day. They even upload skits to a YouTube channel. This console's library is just an ocean of interesting titles that makes me glad I got this system for myself. And that's all I got for you this time. Thanks for watching.